Hello everyone, today we are going to talk about introverts and some of the things they do that might seem a bit crazy to others. As introvert myself, I know that we often get misunderstood or judged for our behaviors. In this video, we are going to talk about some of the crazy things introverts do. The phone screen. The behavior of staring at the phone screen in public is often associated with introverts. It's a classic introvert move that provides a sense of safety and protection from the outside world. For introverts, social situations can be overwhelming, and they may feel more comfortable withdrawing into themselves. By burying their face in their phone, introverts create a barrier between themselves and the outside world, giving themselves a chance to recharge their energy. But what's interesting is that sometimes introverts will pretend to be on their phones even when they are not. This is a defense mechanism that helps them avoid awkward social situations. Instead of having to engage in small talk or make conversation with strangers, introverts can simply pretend to be engrossed in their phone. This allows them to avoid drawing attention to themselves and can be a way to cope with social anxiety. While it's easy to view these behaviors as signs of shyness or social anxiety, it's important to remember that introversion is not the same as shyness. Introverts simply recharge their energy through alone time, while extroverts gain energy from social interactions. Both introverts and extroverts can experience social anxiety, but it's not a defining characteristic of either personality type. It's also important to note that there is nothing wrong with being an introvert. Society often values extroverted traits like being outgoing and gregarious, but introverts have their own unique strengths. They tend to be great listeners, observant, and thoughtful. By understanding and embracing their introverted tendencies, individuals can learn to leverage their strengths and succeed in both social and professional situations. While these behaviors may seem strange to some, they are perfectly normal for introverts. By understanding and accepting these tendencies, both introverts and extroverts can learn to appreciate each other's strengths and work together more effectively. The excuse. Another crazy thing introverts do is come up with elaborate excuses to avoid social events. However, this behavior is simply a way for introverts to recharge their batteries and spend some much-needed alone time. One of the crazy things that introverts do is come up with elaborate excuses to avoid social events. Whether it's a birthday party, a work function, or just a night out with friends, introverts will go to great lengths to avoid large social gatherings. Sometimes, they'll even make up elaborate stories or fake illnesses just to get out of it, making "sorry I can't come" the motto of life. While some people may view this as antisocial, it's simply how introverts operate. They need to spend time alone to feel refreshed and energized. Whether they are at the office, on a plane, or just walking down the street, introverts love to get lost in their own thoughts. In fact, they will pretend to go blind after spotting a known person in public just to avoid having to engage in small talk. One of the reasons that introverts avoid social events is that they don't like being the center of attention. They prefer to be unnoticed and to blend in with the crowd. This is why introverts are notorious for canceling plans at the last minute. Whether it's because they are feeling drained, anxious, or just not in the mood, introverts are experts at coming up with excuses to avoid social situations. And honestly, who hasn't done this at least once in their life? We have all had days when we just don't feel like socializing or attending an event. However, for introverts, this is a way of life. They need to spend time alone to recharge their batteries, and they'll do whatever it takes to get that alone time. In fact, introverts are so committed to their alone time that they'll go to extreme lengths to protect it. They may wait for Truecaller to show the name of an unknown number before receiving it, read WhatsApp messages from notification without opening chat, just so that the message remains unseen. They'll do whatever it takes to block out the world and get lost in their own thoughts. They may come up with elaborate excuses to avoid social events, cancel plans at the last minute, or block out the world around them. However, these behaviors are simply a way for introverts to recharge their batteries and be the best version of themselves. So the next time an introvert declines an invitation, don't take it personally, they are just doing what they need to do to be happy and healthy. The no thank you bite. The act of taking a tiny bite of food to be polite is a social norm that most people follow, but for introverts, this polite gesture takes on a whole new meaning. Introverts tend to be more reserved and prefer to spend time alone, so when faced with social situations, they often find it challenging to navigate. In such situations, they may take a bite of food to avoid having to engage in small talk or start a conversation. For introverts, socializing can be a daunting task, and they often feel more comfortable in their own company. This may lead them to prefer ordering food delivery instead of going out to eat. It's not that they don't enjoy dining out, but rather that they find the experience overwhelming. Crowds and noise can be overwhelming for introverts, and they may prefer the peace and quiet of their own home. Introverts tend to be more introspective and thoughtful, and they often think deeply about what they say before they speak. In face-to-face conversations, they may struggle to find the right words or express themselves effectively. However, in written communication, such as chat or text messages, they can be much more articulate and expressive. This is because they have more time to think about what they want to say and how they want to say it. When introverts are faced with the prospect of starting a conversation, they may mentally rehearse what they want to say beforehand. This allows them to feel more confident and prepared when the time comes to speak. They may also have a tendency to avoid social situations altogether, especially if they feel that they are not prepared or comfortable. One common trait of introverts is their tendency to seek out solitude when they feel overwhelmed. If guests arrive unexpectedly or if they find themselves in a social situation that they are not comfortable with, they may retreat to their bedroom. This is not because they are unfriendly or uninterested in socializing, but rather because they need time to process their thoughts and recharge their energy. Despite their reserved nature, introverts can be incredibly talented and creative. They often have rich inner lives and may excel in creative pursuits such as writing, art, or music. However, because they are not as expressive or outgoing as extroverts, their talents may go unnoticed. It's important to recognize that introverts have much to offer and to create spaces where they feel comfortable sharing their gifts. The imaginary conversations. Introverts are often stereotyped as being shy or antisocial, but in reality, they simply process information and recharge their energy in different ways than extroverts. One common behavior that introverts exhibit is having conversations with themselves, or more accurately, imaginary conversations with others. This may seem strange or even crazy to some people, but it's actually a normal and healthy behavior for introverts. Imaginary conversations allow introverts to rehearse what they might say in a future social situation, which can boost their confidence and reduce anxiety. Introverts often find social interactions draining and overwhelming, so they may feel more prepared and less anxious if they have rehearsed the conversation in their head beforehand. By playing out different scenarios in their mind, introverts can also anticipate how the other person might respond and plan their own reactions accordingly. This mental dress rehearsal can be especially helpful for introverts who struggle with public speaking or job interviews. By practicing their responses in advance, they can feel more prepared and confident during the actual event. Of course, it's important for introverts to remember that they can't control every aspect of a conversation or predict exactly how it will go, so it's important to be flexible and adaptable in real-life situations. In addition to rehearsing social situations, introverts may also use imaginary conversations to process information and solve problems. While others may view this as zoning out or being unproductive, introverts are actually using their creativity and analytical skills to come up with innovative solutions. By letting their thoughts wander and explore different possibilities, introverts can often find unique solutions to complex problems. For example, an introvert may daydream about a love life with their crush, exploring different scenarios and imagining how the relationship might develop. While this may seem like a frivolous activity, it can actually help the introvert process their emotions and gain a better understanding of their own desires and needs. Introverts may also daydream about more practical scenarios, such as planning strategies to fight an alien invasion. While this may seem like a silly or impossible scenario, it allows the introvert to exercise their problem-solving skills and think outside the box. Who knows, they may even come up with a creative solution that could be useful in a real-life emergency. The solo dance party. Introverts are often stereotyped as being unsociable and shy, but that couldn't be further from the truth. While it's true that introverts prefer solitude and quiet environments, they are perfectly capable of having fun and enjoying themselves in their own way. In fact, introverts can be incredibly creative and imaginative when it comes to entertaining themselves. Moreover, introverts are not necessarily quiet because they have nothing to say. They often think deeply and are selective about the words they choose to express themselves. This doesn't mean they are disinterested or aloof. They simply take their time to process information and formulate thoughtful responses. When they do speak, introverts can be quite insightful and their observations can be profound. When it comes to love, introverts may seem reserved at first, but they are deeply caring and loyal to those they love. They may not be as demonstrative as extroverts, but they express their love through actions rather than words. For an introvert, giving someone their time and attention is the ultimate expression of love and affection. They value their alone time, so when they choose to spend it with someone else, it's a clear sign of how much they care. Another characteristic that sets introverts apart is their ability to observe and read between the lines. Introverts are highly attuned to their environment and notice even the slightest changes. They can read body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice, and use this information to better understand others and their motives. As a result, introverts make great listeners and can provide valuable insights into situations that others may overlook. Introverts may do some things that seem crazy or unusual to others, but it's simply how we operate. From needing alone time to avoiding small talk, introverts have unique ways of interacting with the world around us. By embracing these quirks and understanding the benefits they bring, we can better appreciate the value of introverted behavior. Thanks for watching and share your experience in comments below.